Hey guys, I'm Brian.
And I'm Terry.
And welcome back to the Forest Farm Project. We're at Terry's old house again, and today we need to get ready to tear the subfloor up. We've been trying to keep use of the sink as long as possible.
Got to keep the wives happy.
No doubt. And the cabinets for the sink are sitting on the subfloor, so we got to tear them out, but we still need to keep use of the sink, so we're going to show you how we're going to do that today.
Let's get it done.
All right.
So as Brian said earlier, we've been trying to keep this sink as long as possible so we can do dishes and, prep food and whatnot. We have very little space right now. Our kitchen's basically piled in the breakfast room. Some of it's in the living room, some of it's in the front room. So we're pretty tight right now. Anyway, and we've been trying to keep the oven running as well. So what we need to do is get all this wood out of here. Like Brian said earlier, we got to take this floor out. It's kind of old and it's particle board and it's just really flimsy. So our solution is, first off, we cut this countertop off. All that was cabinet as well, and we took that part of the cabinet out. And this, I won't have to knock out or unnail because it's already loose. So this is coming out. That was pretty simple. Problem is, this is all flimsy. So what our solution is, we're going to put a 2x4 block here and a 2x4 block here, and then we're going to run a diagonal like that. So we'll screw this 2x4 to the top of the one that's going on the wall, slide it up to this tight, screw it to the wall where that stud is, and then this block will push it to where it's close to level. Doesn't have to be perfect because this is temporary. And then we'll screw our diagonal in to those two blocks, and that should hold this solid. We'll run a stiff leg down temporarily with this floor down here, and that will give you extra support, but it'll be screwed in and we can unscrew it while we're tearing the floor up. Just don't put anything on the cabinet during that time, and then screw it back in. So let's show you how we do that. So I know people say, I don't need math. Well, for us, we like to calculate sometimes what we need, even if it's a little temporary situation like this, because in the long run it saves you some time. We could come in, here's our cabinet. Here's the cabinet top, this dark area right here. This would be the floor, this would be the wall. We're going to strap a 2x4 to that wall right there. We're going to have one on top of it coming out, and then we're going to run a diagonal up here. And this will be pushed against the wall and up against that countertop and screwed in, these two pieces. And then the diagonal will be pushed into it and screwed in. So it's not rocket science, but we know we want to be about 2 foot off the floor. That'll give us plenty of clearance for working. And this is about 2 foot deep. So we're going to cut our boards around 2 foot each. A lot of people think they don't need math, but this helps get that diagonals when we don't know how long does it need to be. We don't want to be too long. We don't want to keep going back and forth cutting and measuring and whatnot. So we're going to go out there and using this Pythagorean theorem from high school, you got x squared plus y squared equals z squared on a right triangle. This is a right triangle because it's a wall and then a cabinet coming out. So if we're 2 foot down, there's x squared, y squared, z squared, 2 foot down, and 2 foot out, those are 2 squared is 4, 2 squared is 4, so 4 plus 4 is 8. That's z squared, so the square root of 8 is 2.83 and a bunch of other numbers that I don't care about. So I'm just going to go like 2 3/4 feet long, which is 2 foot 9 inches for this diagonal part, 2 foot 9 inches, and these will each be 2 foot. So 2 foot, 2 foot, and 2 foot 9 inches. Now I can go out there and cut. We're going to do one in 3 different places here. So we can go cut our 9 boards and come back in, make one trip out there. So I know kids in school are like, I'm never going to use this math. Well, it does pay off, and it can help you cut corners and save time and save material. We could cut those 2 boards, nail them up there, and then measure the diagonal and go back and cut it. But I can get out there and get all 9 boards cut and be back in here by the time I'd run back and forth and do one of these. So it pays off. Well, let's go get these boards cut. All right, let's assemble these things. I am going to just hook the top one to the one that goes on the wall. Kids, don't try this at home. All right, so that's our brace. We got a stud right here. You see that, Brian?
Yep.
Hopefully I can hit it. I'm gonna need a couple screws in this. Hopefully I'll hit it. We'll go ahead and get them started right now. We'll go ahead and mark this thing so I can kind of get an idea. There's about center if those nails are right. So my board needs to be somewhere like that. This isn't rocket science, and you can see we used some of the scrap wood we had from tearing that wall out in an earlier episode. Nothing fancy here. We're just trying to support this cabinet temporarily, or countertop. So I'm gonna stick it up against the wall. Obviously I'm gonna screw it to the wall, and I want this up there tight to the cabinet. It's on there. Now we'll get one of these braces. We said 2 foot 9 inches. That would be the max from here to here. I wasn't really worried about exact, so we decided just to use one stud and cut them 30 inches. That's close enough. So this is hanging down, and that's where I'm going to come in with this brace. And I'm going to just slide this brace around until the 45 looks about right on it. This board's a little twisted. It's not going to be perfect. All right, I'm going to get some screws started first. Make it a little easier when I'm trying to hold this board in place. Again, this is not rocket science. We're not trying to do anything fancy. We just want a countertop to wash some dishes on. Clean up a little bit here and there. Hopefully in the next couple weeks it'll go away. That should do it. Get our board up there to the cabinet. It's a little wonky here. It was warped. But I think for what we're doing, it's going to get the job done. All right. I could do a chin up on that. I believe it'd hold it.
That's funny. You think you can do a chin up?
Yeah. So you can see what we did. Basically put a board on the wall. Put this one on top and bolted into it first, and then mounted it against the wall, and that way we could push this up. This was hanging down, and we just pushed it up with this and screwed it in place. It's good and solid. I can hang on that thing. I'll probably stand on it, but I'm not gonna. This way, we're gonna tear this wall out and that down there out and do the exact same thing. And this way we'll have access to that floor. We can tear it out. We'll be able to get down there and nail the new floor in and still have our countertop. mission accomplished, folks. We've got our temporary sink still standing. Cabinets are out of the way, so that's going to allow us to tear this flooring out. We did put this little brace in here just for extra support. The bracing that we did on the wall, we got 3 of these, and then on the end wall, we put a board against the wall to support that into the cabinet. We've got this board going up, and that one's on top. We did it like that, where the screws go down through the top of this one into the top of this one into this one. That way it can't pull off. If we'd have put them down here, especially if you're using nails, it could pull out of there. So by putting them in the top, it kind of forces them to stay there unless this thing just breaks apart or the screws literally break off, which is probably not going to happen under this condition. And then of course the 45 diagonal brace just to keep the support. And when you push down on this, that transfers the weight down to that wall. So most of it's going down a little bit out front. That's why we added this little leg. It's solid as a rock. You can lean on it real hard and it doesn't move a bit. But we threw this brace in just in case. When we go to tear the floor out, 2 screws, we can pull it out of the way, tear the old floor out, put the new floor down, throw that back, and we still got a sink. Additionally, we went ahead and put some paper down on top of that old subfloor there. It was particle board. You could tell some moisture had got in there. It was all dark and stinky and ugly. So we got it covered up and it looks real pretty until we tear this old stuff out and put some new down. That's about it. Check back. We're probably going to be doing the electrical in the next video, and then it will be that wall and then the floor. Would you say, Brian?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the plan now, but as you've seen, our plans change. So hopefully that's the plan. So anyway, if you like what you see, give it a big thumbs up. Check us out on Instagram and check back off and see you next time.